she's going to be missed drastically here at this arena anyway.
Right now, a Sauk County community comes together to honor Evelyn Gurney, a middle school student and youth hockey player killed while trying to board her school bus. And the UW system president discussing the state's legislature's budget after some major UW projects were left out. That's all straight ahead right now on News 3 Now at 10. Tonight, the youth hockey community in Sauk County came together to share memories of a middle school student who was hit and killed by a truck while waiting to board her school bus in Reedsburg last month. Evelyn Gurney, a girl remembered for loving hockey and her teammates, was celebrated by hundreds at a hockey arena earlier tonight in Lake Delton. Our Armand Rahman was there to hear them share their memories.
It's somewhat fitting that Evelyn Gurney, a girl remembered for loving the sport of hockey and doing anything for her teammates on the ice, is being remembered and celebrated by hundreds at a hockey arena.
So they wanted the feel of a hockey tournament.
And Evelyn had played at so many tournaments.
The amount of teams that she played on, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to come and pay their respects.
Since she started skating at the age of 4.
I was the only one that was allowed to sharpen her skates. She would come in those front doors. She would throw her stuff down on the floor, and then she'd try to figure out where I was, just to give me an earful or give me some crap.
Evelyn brought a drive and determination to the ice that stuck with her head coach.
The fact that she always played at full speed, there was no half speed, no quarter speed. Sometimes she played over speed, and they have to slow her down and pull her back a little bit.
Determination to score and shield her teammates.
Feisty, very feisty. One time I got like checked or something, and she would just get that kid right away. I don't think anyone will ever forget her anyways. She's just awesome.
Which is why the hole that she leaves behind will be a struggle for everyone.
I mean, it just, obviously you never think of something like this. It was a shock to the system.
I've never tried out for a team without her, so it's going to be like really hard.
I think it's going to hit come hockey season when you're not going to see that spunky little girl with a full head of hair come in and give you a hard time.
For now, they hold on to the memories, which they say live on in their hearts and on the ice.
All the dance parties in the car. She's always with you, and she'd want you to be happy too.
A GoFundMe page is still accepting donations for the Gurney family. As of right now, it's raised roughly $100,000. In Lake Delton, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
And new at 10 tonight, a 26-year-old man arrested earlier this year, for making threats against UW-Madison on social media app Yik Yak has pleaded guilty to one felony count of making terrorist threats. A criminal complaint alleges that Thomas Hansen made comments about sneaking guns into school buildings. Those comments came after he was apparently rejected romantically by someone. He then told the FBI that those comments were a joke. It should be a great weekend to get outdoors. It's a little on the warm side, but maybe some time out on the water like these stand-up paddle boarders out there. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti now letting us know just how hot it'll get in its first warn forecast.
Well, we should be right around 90 degrees for tomorrow. Today we were just shy of that. Let's take a look at the time lapse from the WISC-TV Skycam. You can see this morning we have mostly sunny skies, but then watch as we reach what's called the convective temperature, where once we start getting above that, the clouds can start building up. And watch how quickly they popped up when that happened. And there were some showers, mainly south and west of the station. We didn't have any rain here. As we take a look at high-resolution radar, just a couple of lingering showers just to the east of La Crosse, and they're actually moving back toward the west. So we're pretty much done with the rain for tonight. 6-hour future track radar confirms that. Any showers will go through Iowa and Minnesota and head back to the west. High temperatures today, Madison 89, but Janesville hit 91. It was 93 at the Dells and 94 in Boscobel. You see current temperatures are still in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Madison right now at 73, so is Janesville. Here in Dane County, still 79 degrees in Edgerton, but 69 in Middleton and 74 degrees in Sun Prairie. Look for skies to be partly cloudy overnight. It'll be mild with a low temperature of 60 degrees. I'll take a look at how long the heat will last and if there is any relief in sight in just a few minutes.
Gary, thank you. New information tonight about a man charged in a Fitchburg triple shooting from Memorial Day. Court records allege 20-year-old DeJuan Hugger shot at the victim multiple times while standing over him in an apartment parking lot. He has been charged with attempted first-degree intentional homicide. 2 other people were hurt in that shooting, which happened Monday night at an apartment there on High Ridge Trail. UW hospital staff told police the victim suffered more than 13 entry and exit wounds. Hugger was arrested and appeared in court yesterday where a not guilty plea was entered on his behalf. Police are still investigating this shooting. You're asked to give Crime Stoppers a call if you have any information. That's 266-6014. A stolen vehicle enforcement effort yesterday resulted in 4 arrests in Dane County. Officers with Madison Police, the State Patrol, and Dane County Sheriff's Office made several traffic stops and pursued 3 vehicles that fled. A loaded gun, they say, was recovered during one of those stops. 3 of the 4 people arrested face tentative recklessly endangering safety charges. It's unclear what charges the 4th person potentially faces. As we told you last night, the state's budget writing committee approved more than $2 billion worth of building projects around the state. However, there were some omissions that are frustrating higher education leaders with the UW system. Will Keneally explains what was and what wasn't included.
There is no rational reason why all of the very good projects that should be enumerated this time, frankly, some of them should have been enumerated in previous sessions, have been taken out, other than spite.
Democrats were irate yesterday by the Republican votes to shrink the building proposals that got funded in this year's budget.
Think about it like buying a house without a mortgage. And the value to Wisconsinites is 1, we grow, we get our projects done on time, and 2, we save $800 million.
The Budget Writing Committee voted to approve a series of building projects for state-owned facilities. That includes things like improvements to state parks, but also buildings on the UW campuses. In Madison, Republicans on the committee only approved some funds for Camp Randall renovations. That did not include any funding to replace the engineering building near Camp Randall and Union South. That's something that university officials really wanted to see in this next 2-year budget.
From my experience in the private sector, I've seen that time and time again. We want to have the capacity in the state in order to have enough graduates to fill the job needs of Wisconsin employers. And that's why all of the building projects that we had on the table that the committee considered last evening are important.
System President Jay Rothman says the UW-Madison Engineering Building specifically would go a long way to winning the war on talent for the UW system and Wisconsin employers. For their part, Republicans on the committee said the building's budget was a reflection of spending as much as the state could afford.
We were clear from the get-go that his was unrealistic. And like many things, it becomes the job of this committee then to right-size it. But like I said, right-sizing at this time is still a really historic investment.
That was political reporter Will Keneally reporting. A new package of bills introduced this week could alter some of the language in Wisconsin's 1849 abortion ban. Earlier this year, Assembly Republicans floated some changes that would add exceptions for rape and incest into the otherwise very narrow ban. Currently, the abortion ban does have a provision to allow for abortions to save the life of the mother. Now a new GOP bill would define when saving the life of a mother would apply. We sat down with the bill's author to learn more, and you can see that entire interview this coming Sunday on For the Record, which airs at 10:30 a.m. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie will reportedly run for president once again. Sources familiar with his plans tell CNN he'll make that announcement Tuesday at a town hall in New Hampshire. Christie first tried to win the Republican nomination back in 2016. He has been an outspoken critic of former president, fellow candidate Donald Trump. Milwaukee will host the first presidential primary debate on August 23rd. The Republican National Committee made that announcement this morning. Of course, Milwaukee is also the site of the 2024 Republican National Convention. That'll take place at Fiserv Forum mid-July of 24. The RNC also laid out the polling and donor threshold that candidates must meet to be part of the debate. In order to get a spot on stage, candidates will need to reach at least 1% in 3 national polls or a combination of national polls and a poll from the early voting states. Candidates will also need a minimum of 40,000 unique donors to a candidate's campaign or exploratory committee, as well as 200 unique donors in at least 20 states. Finally, the candidates must have signed a pledge agreeing to support the eventual party nominee. The committee said if a large number of candidates qualify, there could be a second debate. That would be on August 24th. Talking about those qualifications, RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel said, quote, "The RNC is committed to putting on a fair, neutral, and transparent primary process, and the qualifying criteria set forth will put our party and eventual nominee in the best position to take back the White House come November 2024. President Biden says he will soon sign the bipartisan bill that raises the nation's debt ceiling and cuts spending. The legislation allows the U.S. government to pay its bills, averting a default and potential economic crisis. Natalie Brand at the White House sharing what else is included in that deal.
President Biden addressed the nation on the debt ceiling deal that heads off a historic default.
Passing this budget agreement was critical. The stakes could not have been higher. No one got everything they wanted, but the American people got what they needed.
The bill is passed.
The Senate passed the bipartisan measure late Thursday with more than 60 voting in favor. The bill raises the nation's debt limit beyond the 2024 presidential election. The Congressional Budget Office estimates it also cuts spending by about $1.5 trillion over the next decade. In a last-minute negotiation, Senate leaders pledged commitments to consider emergency spending down the road and additional military aid to support the war in Ukraine, after some GOP senators raised concerns about limits to defense spending.
There's not a penny in this budget to help beat Putin.
President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy negotiated the deal. Political analysts say the mixed reviews from lawmakers across the political spectrum make it the very definition of compromise.
Both sides actually made concessions, and we should be, as Americans, proud about seeing our government work in such a fashion.
Joe Biden came into this saying that he refused to negotiate, and at the end of the day, he finally caved and gave Republicans some spending cuts that we needed as a country.
The deal comes just ahead of Monday's deadline when the Treasury Secretary has said the U.S. would start running short of cash to pay its bills. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
New video shows what happened to a Davenport, Iowa apartment building seconds before it collapsed on Sunday. This video shows 5 braces supporting the building. The one closest to the camera is slowly bending, and then a large chunk of brick facade falls from under a second-floor window. A lower portion of the wall appears to crumble, and then more of the facade falls seconds before the collapse. The video shows the same support brace bending more quickly. Puffs of dust emerge. Part of the building would fall. The search continues now for 3 missing tenants. In Connecticut, at least 8 people were hurt when the building they were working on partially collapsed. This was in New Haven. 2 of the victims suffered life-threatening injuries. It happened at a construction site of a 7-story residential building when a portion of the second floor gave way, falling onto the first and into the basement. A total of 36 people were inside at the time of that collapse. Workers were pouring concrete at the time, so rescuers hurried to pull out trapped workers before that concrete hardened. Still ahead on News 3 Now at 10, from farm to table, with the help of Madison school children, how a new effort is underway to helping increase the access to fresh food for students. Stay with us.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10, winner of the Best Evening Newscast by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association. You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Fresh food from the garden will soon be part of school lunches for Madison students, food that was actually grown by their peers. Madison Schools has partnered with Rooted, a nonprofit, to grow lettuce and herbs to be used in school lunches. 2nd and 3rd grade students at Mendota and Schenck Elementary Schools planted the seeds in their classrooms during the winter months. After several weeks of watering, it was then brought to the Goodman Youth Farm to be planted in the ground. And yesterday, well, that was harvest day, with the lettuce ready to be served soon.
We harvested about 350 heads of lettuce. Next week, 1 or 2 days, the lettuce is going to be in a side salad, so it's going to be served to all Madison students next week, which is super exciting.
All of this made possible thanks to a grant from the Willie Street Co-op. Funding from the grant will go towards staff time, lettuce seeds, and seed starting equipment, as well as supplies. A beloved McFarland Supper Club is getting ready to welcome guests back later this month. Managers at Maple Tree Supper Club say the restaurant will celebrate a grand reopening. It's set for Tuesday, June 27. Now, the building suffered from this significant damage and a fire. Started in the kitchen last October. Extensive repairs were needed in the kitchen area, as well as the dining room and the roof. Several people were inside at the time of that fire, but no one was hurt. Back here in Madison, workers at the State Street Starbucks have voted overwhelmingly to unionize with a vote of 20-2. Last week, some workers expressed concern that the company was union busting ahead of the planned vote. The union still does need to be approved by the National Labor Relations Board for it to be official. The State Street Starbucks is Madison's 2nd store to unionize after the Capitol Square location did so last summer. A red-hot jobs report for the month of May. Employers adding 339,000 jobs last month. That's according to the monthly employment report out today from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's close to double the amount of new jobs that economists were expecting. In a statement, President Biden says, quote, "Today is a good day for the American economy and American workers." Well, a lot of call-outs in the office today. This was off the coast of Jacksonville, Northeast Florida. Hundreds of people taking the day off work for a tradition known as Boater Skip Day. It's exactly what it sounds like. Just a day to hit the water in a boat rather than go to work. Takes place on the St. Johns River there in Clay County, a few miles from Jacksonville. Some have described it as Mardi Gras on the water, and it certainly looks like it with how many people were out there. Police were patrolling that very busy area to make sure everyone stayed safe. Let's go a pretty nice weekend to be out on a boat around here as well. Gary joins us now. Our complete first warn forecast, and it will be warm. Gary.
It will be warm around here, and it's a good thing that they were on the east side of the Florida Peninsula. There's
a storm brewing over there, isn't there, already?
Yeah, so first let's start out by taking a look at high-resolution Doppler track here. Really nothing going on now. Everything, all the showers have pretty much dissipated. The last of them near La Crosse have fallen apart, and as we widen out the view, you can see how quickly those showers and thunderstorms died down after sunset. And that'll be the case again tomorrow. They'll probably be a little more prevalent farther to the west, and they probably won't be as widespread as they were today, and they weren't very widespread to begin with. But we hit our first 90-degree high temperature on May 31st, and that's about 4 weeks ahead of schedule on average. And you can see our first 60-degree temperature was late. Our first 70-degree temperature was a little late as well. And then you can see the first 80-degree temperature was 2 weeks early and 4 weeks early for our first 90. So we've kind of caught up there. And yes, this is the west coast of Florida, and this is Tropical Storm Arlene, a minimal tropical storm. Became a tropical storm this afternoon. Maximum sustained winds 40 miles an hour, moving south-southeast at 7 miles per hour. It's expected to just kind of meander and dissipate over the next day or two. But it's the first named tropical weather system in the Atlantic Basin from the National Hurricane Center. Three things you need to know around here. High temperatures around 90 degrees for tomorrow and middle 80s for Sunday. We could see some afternoon or evening showers and thunderstorms, just a slight chance for the next couple of days. A little better chance on Monday in the afternoon and evening as a cold front comes through. Then high temperatures return back into the 70s for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, but we could use the rain, only looking at about 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of rain generally across southern Wisconsin, and that's over the next 10 days, when we should have about 1.5 inches every 10 days. So that's not going to help the soil situation. They're getting dry. Wildfire danger continues to increase. High temperatures today just shy of 90 at Madison. Milwaukee's at 84, but many locations at 90, including La Crosse at 92, Eau Claire at 91. Notice Superior, though, with an easterly wind off of Lake Superior, only 60 degrees for the high temperature. But 90s were more prevalent to our south than they were to the west. And that's because there was a little more cloud cover out here and also a little more widespread shower and thunderstorm activity. There's a stationary front to our north that kind of meanders around to the west, and that's the dividing line between cooler air to the north and the warm to mild air across much of the Midwest. And you can see without the fronts around here, there's really nothing to generate shower or thunderstorm activity. Temperatures right now still into the 70s across much of the state, mid to upper 60s in the northern part of the state away from Lake Superior. So for tomorrow, look for partly sunny skies, a hot day, high temperature at 90, just a slight chance for an afternoon or evening shower or thunderstorm, probably about a 20% chance at best. Plenty of day for Dane County, 86 for the high in Pine Bluff, 87 in Marshall, and 90 in Monona and Oregon. Across the rest of southern Wisconsin, high 89 in Janesville, 90 in Lone Rock, and 89 degrees in La Crosse with lots of sunshine. But take a look at future track precipitation. This is over the weekend, and we're looking at just some spotty precipitation. Every once in a while, there could be a thunderstorm that dumps maybe 1/2 inch of rain, but about 90% of us will probably stay dry through the weekend. So can't rule out an outside chance for an afternoon or evening shower or thunderstorm. The first warned 7 to 10 day forecast. Again, the better chances will be on Monday, and even that's about a 30 to 40% chance. That'll be followed by a cool down for the middle part of the week, a brief warm up, maybe a thunderstorm chance next Saturday, and then temperatures drop back into the 70s for the following week. We'll be right back.
Today was day one of the mayhem that is state and track and field in La Crosse. News 3 Sports Director Zach Henley was there to see how our local athletes performed.
The state's best entered La Crosse with one goal in mind: run, jump, and throw their way to the top of the podium. And what a day it was for our local athletes.
Bucksa is up.
We'll start in Division II. Lakeside Lutheran's Ben Bucksa entered the day as the top seed in the shot put, and the senior finished where he started, tossing it 54 feet 3 inches to take home a state title.
I'm so excited. It's just like all this hard work I've put in, and now it's finally paid off, and just, I mean, I don't know if it's me happy or just watching my parents and coaches be happy. That's just really making it worth it today.
In the discus, Jefferson's Ayanna Johnson defends her crown in record-breaking fashion. The Minnesota Gopher basketball commit uncorks a throw of 154 feet 2 inches to set a new state record and cap off her senior year as a champion.
Just knowing that I worked so hard to get here, and I've been chasing this record for all of high school, and it got cut a little bit short during COVID, but I finally got it.
Turner's Rachel Cleaver had herself a day. She went back-to-back in the wheelchair 800 and followed up that title with another one in the shot put. And Westfield's Tommy Huff just missed clearing 6'9" in the high jump, but the Pioneer senior would take home the title, tying a school record in the process.
I mean, it feels amazing. Only getting 6'2" last year, just crazy. It just feels amazing. I can't, just lost words.
And in Division III, Fenimore's Isaac Henkel anchors the Golden Eagles to a first-place finish in the 4x8 and set a new school record with a time of 8:06.93.
Coming down the home stretch, it was surreal. I couldn't even see, I'll be honest with you, but I was just so happy when I crossed the finish line. Happy I could get the job done. It means a lot. We've had a history of cross-country and long-distance running at Fenimore, and just to bring back the tradition really means something. I'm glad to do it for the community and do it for the boys, and it means a lot.
At Veterans Memorial Stadium, Zach Hanley, News 3 Sports.
And the Brewers opening a 4-game set in Cincinnati against the Reds, who played well lately. They take an early lead. Joey Weimer, the first pitch he sees, goes over the left field fence to give the Crew an early 2-0 lead. The game would require extra innings. Brewers up 5-4 in the 11th, but the Reds tying run in scoring position. But Bryce Wilson gets Spencer Steer to ground out to end it. Milwaukee, a winner tonight. 5-4 in Cincinnati. A major pickup for Greg Gard and the Badger men's basketball team this afternoon for the class of 2024. 4-star recruit Daniel Freitag has committed to the Badgers. Point guard out of Bloomington, Minnesota, considered a top 100 player in the country in his class. Freitag picked the Badgers over the Gophers along with Virginia and Baylor. Gary's back. Final check of your weekend firstborn forecast after this. Well, finally tonight, a different type of call for police officers in Ohio earlier this week. Westlake police say they heard from a citizen who found that young deer tangled up, stuck in their backyard soccer net. Mama was nearby, preventing the homeowner from really trying to free it, so officers were called in to assist. As you can see, one was able to finally cut that net to set the fawn free.
Aww.
Pretty amazing. Always there to help.
Don't leave your nets in the backyard anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Final check of the forecast, Gary. Looking like a toasty one.
Yeah, pretty nice out there right now. Still warm. You can see the live view from the Edgewater Sky Cam. 73 right now in Madison. Upper 60s to middle 70s across southern Wisconsin. 74 in Stoughton.
All right, Gary, thank you. Stay cool this weekend, folks. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.